all, Kurt Sasso here from TTT at Fan Expo Canada 2010. We're here with Jim McNally from Longbow Digital Arts, and he's an amazing, talented guy. We have a wonderful game in Hegemony. Jim, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview.
My pleasure.
You know, Hegemony is one of those games, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, this is the type of game I want to play as a fan, because I love real-time strategy. You guys have done an amazing job here. Tell us what went into this game.
Well, 6 years of hard work for 5 developers. We were looking at Alexander the Great as a natural subject matter, and then while researching Alexander, realized that his father Philip developed all of the infrastructure and the phalangite warfare, and was more of a rags to riches story when he came out of a rather bad position in Macedonia and took over the Greek world and became the first true hegemon of Greece. And at that point we decided what style we'd make the war game. We initially looked at turn-based and hexes and octagons and other things, and then we realized we wanted to go better graphics and more real-time, but give the player a lot of control. So we allowed complete control while the game is paused. In addition, we wanted the entire map to be seamlessly open as one huge campaign, rather than have a small starting area that you then win and then start over in another area. We built the entire map as a unified unit, which was part of the technical difficulty of doing the engine, but it's worked out quite well. We're quite happy with how it's turned out.
Now, for 6 years of work, 5 developers, you've put in hundreds of thousands of hours into this game. You know, why real-time strategy? Why Hegemony?
Well, we wanted to do something with a strong historical base, because we just happen to be interested in military history, and the genre itself, the era, is it's more of a niche market, so the large publishers and the console publishers aren't as inclined to be interested in it, which gives room for a small developer to actually make some space. Those were some of the decisions that we made.
Okay, being a history buff myself, I love Alexander the Great. I love his father, and I love this storyline. It is true to history. But do you have the flexibility to play your own style, or do you have to be forced into what happened in history?
We put in hundreds of objectives which reflect historical elements, but we've made the game as sandboxy as possible. After the initial area, which is sort of tutorialized to some degree to teach you the mechanics of the game, it more or less opens out, and you can branch off in any direction with any, and the objectives don't have to be done in any specific order. There are enough good rewards for the objectives that they're worth pursuing, but again, the player can use a sandbox approach whenever they need to and prefer to. We didn't like, again, that was something we wanted to allow the player to have, is a little more flexibility.
Now, do you have, say, traditional, so a lot of RPGs or a lot of real-time strategy games have that classic hero that you create, and, do you have that main character that you can level up, or is this just really about the real-time of the cultures?
Well, your native Macedonian troops do gain experience and level up as you go, and you can put different traits you can increase. The generals are all fixed units which you get as quest rewards, and then they become available in a pool. So a general will add, essentially they're like add buffs to the unit they're merged with. So Philip is obviously the best general in the game. But because the generals reflect historical generals that were present at the time or in that general time period, they have fixed stats. And also you end up picking up a lot of mercenary troops along the way, and the mercenaries they have fixed stats and lower morale, so you'll end up with focusing on a core of elite Macedonian troops that you're basically leveling up to do most of your hard hitting, and the rest of your kingdom will have to be managed, and your garrisons will be controlled by mercenary troops that you hire along the way. So we tried to, again, not have limitless numbers of elite troops that you can build. So So that's a limiting factor, and also helps keep it more historical.
You know, Fan Expo is a huge convention. You got a lot of gamers, a lot of comic people. You have a whole mix of variety of people. You have a great booth here. I love the guys in the traditional dress. That was really
amazing. We're seeing all the costume characters come by. That's one of the highlights of the show, is just seeing the people all dressed up.
Well then, what about the people that have been testing this game out? What has been their feedback to this type of game?
Feedback's been fairly good. Encouragingly, our biggest problem right now is getting the word out, because we have no marketing budget. So we go to a show like this and almost nobody's heard of us, but the response has been good, which it tells us that things will get better as we get more well known. We've also had people who have studied Hellenistic history and history of Macedonia, who've played the game and are very, very impressed with our historical accuracy. When that's very pleasing to me as a designer, is to have somebody who really knows the era say, you know, I'm pleased with how you've handled the historical aspects. There's always a trade-off between being as historically accurate as possible, yet maintaining playability as a game, and that's always been a little tricky, so you always have to dumb down history enough to make it a good game, but that's part of the trade-off of game design. So in some respects, game design is a caricature of the real world, just like people walking around in costume characters are the kind of a caricature of the fantasy that they're portraying, which is just a lot of fun.
You know, the Fan Expo is going to close down. You're going to head back home to your developers. What personal experiences are you going to take away from this convention and about this game?
Well, I think it's more, we've been to a few shows now. This is the first non-war game sort of show. The last one we were at was Gen Con, which was very more gamer oriented, so we had a higher percentage of the audience who jumped on the game. There's a lower percentage of the audience here, but there's so many more people here. It's just amazing. They went over capacity yesterday. And we're in the PAX 10 next week in Seattle, one of the 10, they're showcasing 10 independent games that were selected, and we're one of them, so that'll help us get some attention, so we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, the fact that you know, PAX Prime in Seattle is amazing. It's huge. Congratulations. That's a nod in the right direction right there, and I just can't thank you so much, Jim, for this interview. It's been a real, true pleasure, and I hope you have a wonderful time at PAX and here, of course.
Well, it's great having you drop by to talk. It's been a pleasure myself as well. Thank you.